To cover today. We have 4 hours together, including a refreshment break and a couples discussion and a Q&A panel. So before we get into the content of the topic, I want to put up this QR code. This is the first time we'll show it. I'm going to show it at the beginning of the next lecture too. But once you get this, you can type in questions and anonymously. And we will see your questions. So like everyone will see your questions, but they don't know that it's you. So if you have any questions, just keep sending them in, keep sending their questions in. And you could even vote for some of the questions. If you like a question, you could upvote it. And at the end, at the Q&A, we will go through the questions as much as we can, okay?
That's very cool.
That's very cool, yes. Yeah, I'm not the one who invented this, but I've used it before in other events. So, is everybody good with the QR code? All right, okay, cool. All right, so we want to talk about building a hedge around your marriage, and in that we'll talk about the purpose of marriage. And I want to start off by telling you something similar to how Abuna introduced this, which is that the integrity of our marriages is being challenged. The integrity of our marriages is being challenged. And another way of saying that is that our marriages and our understanding of marriage, and us and our partner in marriage, they're all under attack. They're all under attack. The house, the home is under attack. And I want to tell you two categories of challenges that our marriages are facing today. One is about marriage as a whole is facing challenges, and then your individual marriage is facing challenges. Okay, is everybody with me so far? Okay. There's a trend of comparison against others and other couples, which leads to a strong sense of lacking or falling behind. So much comparing. And you know what makes this very easy is social media, right? You go on, you're on Instagram or whatever, or Facebook or whatever, and you start to see, oh, wow, look at that couple, they're doing a vacation. Look at that couple, the husband and wife are hugging, or they're holding hands, or they're kissing, or whatever. Or, oh, look at that post, the parents are playing with their kids. I don't play with my kids enough, right? And you start to feel like you're not doing well. There's so much comparing. Look at what that other family, look at the house they live in, the job they have, all this stuff, right? There's devaluation of marriage as a healthy construct or arrangement. It used to be that, everyone in general should get married. And we're kind of transitioning between cultures. Like we are in a difficult position, this group, because we're moving between cultures, right? We're started from a fully Egyptian culture, and we're in a different culture, and we're transitioning. We're the transition generations. Our kids are not transitioning. Right? Our kids are in the American culture, right? And they just hear a lot about Egyptian things, but they're in the American culture. But in the Western society, a lot of times marriage is not seen as something valuable, something that everyone should do and look forward to, right? I was just at a business lunch a few weeks ago, and the person I was talking with, he's like in his 60s, he's telling me about his kids in their mid-20s and early 30s. And he's saying, they don't want to get married, they don't want to have kids, they're very hesitant, very reluctant, they don't know. And some of us, we think, when I talk to people from our culture, they're so anxious about any one more year that passes and they're not married, right? Because it's seen as something you should do. We also, as a construct, marriage is divorced from God's design and intention. A lot of us got married. Why did you get married? Like why? What's the point of it? What's the point of getting married? By the way, I want to tell you something. I don't mean to sound negative, but I'm just being realistic. Most marriages are not happy. Most marriages are not happy marriages. It's very, very, very easy to have a bad marriage. All you have to do is nothing. You can have a bad marriage. It's very easy to have a bad marriage. Most marriages are not happy. And a big reason why is because we forgot why we're getting married in the first place. Some weeks ago, actually maybe 3 months ago, a friend, like someone I know, referred someone to me, and I talked with her, and she's like, hey, I'm getting married in 2 weeks in Egypt. That's what she said. I'm getting married in 2 weeks in Egypt. And we're having problems, you know, and she found out that the guy, her fiance, was chatting with another woman, like, just not, it wasn't clear if it was sexual or anything like that, but she was very uncomfortable about it. And it wasn't the first time it happened. And they're getting married in 2 weeks. And so, what do? I think you appreciate the circumstances. There's a lot of pressure, right? There's invitations that went out, money that was spent. There's a reputation to maintain. What are you gonna do? Of course, in my head, I'm like, I said, it's not right to get married if you're not comfortable. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but ideally, you would be comfortable before you get married. Like that's how it should be. You would be comfortable when you get married. So, if we let other intentions and other designs and other forces affect what we envision our marriage to be, that's going to make our marriage very, very poor, very below its potential. It's very scary. And inadequate messages from our society and community about what it takes to maintain a thriving marriage. Let me ask you, I'll tell you something about myself, okay? I studied this stuff, right? I work with couples all the time. But all the stuff I learned, there's no way I was gonna tell my geddu, my grandfather, to do that stuff, right? If I told my grandfather, I said, geddu, you have to, when you see Teta, you have to say, I love you, it's very nice to see you, you know, and all this stuff, right? My grandfather would have, I mean, they both passed away, may God repose their souls, but he would have been like, what are you saying? You know, it's not, what are you even saying, right? It's not even on the same level. There's nothing to discuss with all this emotional stuff and learning about yourself. But now society and culture and advancements in understanding ourselves and our socioeconomic status is so many things mean that you have to do work to make a marriage good, even if it's work that you never saw your parents doing. You have to do something for the first time that no one in the generations before you had to do. Your parents didn't do it. You never saw it. Maybe you saw your parents yelling at each other. Maybe you saw your parents sleeping in different rooms. Maybe you saw one of your parents just always just submitting, saying, not even submitting, just suppressing themselves. No conversation. So it takes a lot of work. And as I'll tell you later, most of the work in marriage is in you, not in your spouse. Most of the work in marriage is in you most of the time. So society doesn't tell you that you have to do a lot of work. They don't tell you. Now, in individual marriages, like think about your own marriage, okay? You don't appreciate that straightforward changes in behaviors can lead to marital tension or marital benefit. Meaning, sometimes you get married and you find out that you don't know how to speak. You don't know how to speak. You don't know how to have a discussion. You don't even know what listening means, right? And sometimes I'll teach you, I could teach you some things and say, oh, okay, if your husband tells you something, listen to like the words he's saying. Maybe ask him about how he's feeling, how his day was, whatever it is. If your wife is saying something, I was just talking to someone yesterday, non-Egyptian, and let me tell you the example. His wife, they're not Egyptian. His wife took out the meal from the oven, and she looks at it, and there was like a bread or like a dough in the meal. I don't want to say what it was because it's too much details, but there was a bread in the meal, in the thing she made, and it overcooked, like it overbaked. So it became it was very dry. And she says, oh man, this thing didn't work. You know, like whatever, it got messed up. And he said, well, why don't you do it for less time next time? Or why don't you do it for less time? And they got into a huge fight. I just said, you know what, you're a narcissist, right? And they started fighting. But I said, you have to pay attention that there's always something going on emotionally. What should he have said? Let me do a test here. Somebody answer my question. One of your spouses, one of your partner takes something out and they're disappointed. They see like, oh man, this didn't work. What should you say?
Is it her first time or it's been going?
This is going to be 5 hours, not 4. Actually, it's interesting. It's an interesting question, but I'm afraid you might be thinking about this the wrong way, right? Because let me ask you, and maybe I'm not understanding or appreciating. What difference does it make if it's multiple times or the first time?
First time is okay. Thank you.
This happens all the time in my house.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the solution is to not cook. That's the solution.
What everyone always tells me is, it's okay, I'm sure it's going to taste great.
Okay. Wait. Yeah. Yes. What? Yeah. That's what you should say, right? Because so I asked the husband, can you tell me? Remember, there's always something emotional going on. Address the emotions first. Address the emotions first. Always. Okay? Always. What? But to address the emotions, you have to know what the emotions are. So, and how do you know emotions? You have to try to empathize. So I asked him, what do you think she's feeling when she opens the oven and sees that the thing she made, the dough, is overbaked? What is she feeling? Things are not working well, like you're kind of like catastrophizing, nothing works. Okay, yes. So, upset, yes. Disappointed, what was the other one? Ashamed, a very powerful word. Imagine you feel ashamed, right? Imagine you feel like I'm the mother of this home and I can't feed my family. Imagine you feel that. My kids are hungry. And look, I'm a failure, right? Ashamed is a very powerful word. Any other words?
All of this feeling because overcooked.
Let me give you a different feeling. No, sure. Wait. First of all, yeah. No. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of feelings. Can I give you a different example? What if you, God forbid, you go to work and then your boss asks you to have a meeting and they say you're going to get laid off?
Yes, few weeks off.
Yeah, sure. Now, okay, but wait, you're going to get laid off, right? And you have a mortgage, you have car payments, maybe other loan payments, you have your kids' school. And then, okay, you say, this is unexpected. And then let's say now you leave and you leave the job and 4 or 5 months pass and you can't find another job. How are you going to feel? Stressed. Great. What else? Failure, right? Yeah, what else? Desperate. Yeah. Hopeless or homeless? Both? Yeah. Yeah. What else? Huh? Why embarrassed? Yeah. It's like, wait, what am I going to do? With, it's very common. How do I walk amongst my community? I don't make money. What do I do? My friends, they say after church, or on Saturday or whatever, they want to go get dinner together. And now I'm looking at the prices differently on the menu, right? How do you feel? So if you say, what do I say? Is this the first time you lost your job or you lost your time multiple times before? You're not going to say that. Or you're going to say, oh man, this is. It doesn't matter if it was the 10th time you lost your job. The first thing we need to address is the emotion. So we have to appreciate that there are behaviors and changes that we can make. And by the way, what Carol said was, the example of if the thing doesn't go well, you just say, oh yeah, don't worry, let's try it. It might taste good still anyway, right? Or oh, that's disappointing, right? But let's see what we can do. Individual marriages. Another challenge is there's a mismanagement of, or lack of awareness of, unreasonable expectations. We don't have sometimes, realistic expectations. We think our husband should do this, the wife should do this, and our expectations are unreasonable. Also, many of us, this one it's not a topic for today, we could talk about it in the Q&A if we want, that some of us, the way we live life, and the only way we've lived life is by being critical, having critical thoughts in our heads. If that's how you live your life all the time, you probably got it from your parents, okay, who were criticizing you as you were getting older. Because a very common parenting technique is to call out the flaws. When there's a flaw, you call it, you say it, right? Like I remember, I have this couple, and every time now I have to ask them at the beginning of every session, tell me something positive that happened in your marriage. Because usually we start, and one of them starts criticizing. And sometimes we do this to our kids. They come home from school, you're not this, you're not that. Why are you on your phone so much? What about this grade? A B+, get out of here. And just criticizing. But really, because that's how we think. We think that if you call out, if you say everything that's going badly, that's your job, right? And we don't really encourage. We're not used to encouraging. So our thoughts are just full of negativity. Also, we are very busy. Is anybody here not busy? Like, it's okay. It's actually not a bad thing. It's a good thing in some ways. But we're very busy, right? Like I was talking to a couple a few days ago. They are busy from 5 a.m. till 10 p.m. Just busy, running around. And they don't even have time to organize, to talk about what, their life, their family, they don't have time to organize things. And also another challenge that marriages are facing today is our in-laws. Sometimes our in-laws are getting too involved, right? And maybe you could think about your in-laws, but also think about, am I letting my family of origin get too involved, right? How much time are you spending talking, and what are you sharing when you're talking with them? It's not bad to talk with your parents, of course, it's good. But what are you talking about? And how do you feel about your marriage after you talk with your parents? That's the big question. How do you feel about your marriage? How do you see your spouse after you talk with your own parents? Very important. Failure to completely shift from a single mindset. Many of us are still, I remember before I got married, someone told me something I'll never forget. He said, Makar, you will never realize how selfish you are until you get married. You're never going to realize how selfish you are until you get married, right? Because when I'm single, I used to wake up, what am I going to do today? I'll do whatever I want. No one says anything to me. If it takes me 20 minutes to get out of the house, if it takes me 2 hours, no one's going to say anything. But now, every decision I make affects another person. And even how well I'm doing, if I'm happy or sad, it affects another person, right? And lastly, poor integration of God in personal life and married life. And we have a whole slide on this point. So, I want to give you a helpful perspective. This is your marriage. And notice, on purpose, I put a dashed circle. All right? It's not a solid line, meaning things can penetrate into your marriage, okay? Is everybody with me so far? Are you guys bored or? Okay, okay, all right, okay, good. I wasn't going to change anything anyway, but this is your marriage, okay? And these are all the things we said, this is them. Attacking your marriage. Attacking. Your marriage is being attacked by all these things that we just said. And I want you to imagine this. See how small your marriage is? And all these things coming to attack your marriage? It's scary, right? And by the way, if you don't believe it, it's still happening anyway. If you want to deny it, you want to turn around, act as if it's not there and be in denial, it's still there. Your marriage is under attack, okay? By the way, listen, please. When I say your marriage, stop thinking about your kids. Don't think about your kids. Think about your spouse, okay? Because the best gift you can give your children is a healthy marriage. It's one of the best gifts you can give them, is a healthy marriage, okay? And your marriage is the most powerful source of information to your children about what married life should be like. Actually, also about who Christ is and how Christ works. They learn that from looking at your marriage. So don't make it hard for your kids, right? But it's not even about your kids, it's about yourself. What is a hedge? Because the topic is building a hedge around your marriage. A hedge is a barrier or protection against something. It's sometimes called a living fence. You see, this is like it's like a fence, but it's made out of trees, right? So it's a living, active boundary, and it protects, right? Also, you guys, I'm sure you've seen these before. Hedge is mentioned in the Bible a few times. When Satan was talking to God about Job, he said, you're protecting him too much, and he said, have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. So Satan was saying to God, you're protecting him. Why are you protecting him? Right? That's what a hedge does. Speaking of God's presence and care for us, David said, you have hedged me behind and before and laid your hand upon me. Like you put a hedge here and you put a hedge here, you're protecting, right? And in the parable of the tenants, Jesus explains what happens when you build a vineyard. A vineyard, I don't know what that's called in Arabic, I should know. It's a common word. What? Karma. Oh yeah. I knew I knew that word, I just couldn't recall. So he says here another parable, there was a certain landowner who planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it, right? To protect this vineyard, to protect it. Because there's something precious here. And you have to invest in it. And it takes time. And you don't want it to just be taken by anyone, right? They put a hedge around it. So, what makes up the hedge in your marriage? And this is going to be the rest of the time. The hedge in your marriage is skills, spiritual awareness, sophisticating your perspective, I know it's a big word, but we'll talk about it, resources, and proactive behaviors. This is the hedge around your marriage, okay? This is the hedge. And we're going to talk about each one of these 5 things, okay? Number 1, skills. Skills are not personality traits. Let me tell you the difference. Does it matter what your personality is to learn how to drive? No. I mean, you're going to be a different driver. Some are going to be more anxious. Some are going to be more confident. Some are quick to assess like space and stuff like that. But you could learn it. A skill is something you can learn. A personality trait is much harder to change, right? And I'm talking here about skills. Does everybody get this point that I'm trying to say? That what I'm talking about are things you can learn, okay? There are 5 skills I want to tell you about. The first one is communication skills. The second talk, by the way, is about communication. So we're going to spend a lot of time on this. And I'm just going to tell you some things to do. You have to appreciate that small changes in how we say something can change the way that a message is received. Some people, when they talk, I remember one time I was giving a lecture, and I look at people, I need to make eye contact with everyone, but there was someone in the group, his face was so it's as if he was angry the whole time. Like his face, just his listening neutral face is angry. And I'm like, dude, do you know that about yourself? Like, when do you smile? Smiling is a very important thing to do, right? It's very important. When do you smile? Do you know that if you're listening to someone, you look like this, right? I have someone at work. In the middle of meetings, when she wants to listen or show that she's listening, she goes, and for the first few weeks, I was like, am I saying something wrong? Like, what's going on, right? So there are small changes you can make in how you appear and how you speak. Maybe you interrupt so much. Maybe just slow down. Maybe you talk too fast. Maybe you don't have good vocabulary with emotion words, right? Maybe you just don't know. I want to tell you very simply, there are always 1,000 ways to say something. 1,000. There's always 1,000 ways to say something. Even this lecture, I could say it 1,000 different ways. So if you find that, because some people say, every time I say something to him, every time I say something to her, they get upset. I can't say anything. Well, you have 999 different ways, more other ways to try. Try to say it differently. Maybe try to start, just very simply, try to start with something positive. I'll give you another one. Try not to start with the word but. You say, but this. Like I remember I was working with a mother and a daughter. And every time the daughter, not every time, but a lot of times when the mother is saying something like, hard for the daughter to hear, the daughter would interrupt and say, but, and I'm like, wait, if you just pay attention to that word, you will change how the conversations are going in a major way, okay? The mother, though, she had an issue. She talks for so long at once. She doesn't pause. And she just keeps going. She could talk for like 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes, keep talking. Never talk for 3 minutes. Never. I'm telling you, don't talk for 3 minutes straight. I'm talking, but even I try to pause. I checked on you. Are you guys doing all right? You're paying attention? Are you guys bored? And you said no. Now we're still connecting. We're back and forth. Many of us as parents or as spouses, we just want to lecture and leave. You want to just tell your husband or your wife, and then you leave. That's the laziest thing you can do. It's lazy. Why? Because it's hard to have the right conversation. The right conversation is, okay, and we're going to talk about this in the second lecture, but the right conversation is very hard actually. To listen, to assume that there's something you don't know, to give the benefit of the doubt, to play back what you're hearing. That's a very hard conversation. But sometimes we're just like, I don't care. I'm just going to tell them what I think and I'm going to get out of here. If they don't listen, it's because they're messed up. No. Listen very carefully and with a genuine motivation to understand your spouse. Let me ask you a question. Do you think your spouse woke up today and said, I want to make my spouse's life miserable? You think your spouse did that this morning? They woke up, I said, wow, the sun is so nice outside. We're going to go to church today. You know what I need to do today? I need to make my spouse's life miserable. You think your spouse did that? No. I don't think I've ever met a spouse who wants to make their spouse's life miserable. Actually, every spouse very deeply, passionately wants a happy marriage. Some people, they've given up hope because they're scared to continue to have hope because it hurts. Every time they have hope and then they're disappointed. Do you have a question? Or? No. So ask questions. Ask questions. Your spouse is a good person. You're a good person too. And you just have to connect with each other. You're different people, right? And maybe you didn't appreciate in terms of the realistic expectations. When I talk with premarital couples, I say, when you're getting married, you're signing up to not get your way most of the time. That's what happens. In marriage, you're entering into a covenant that you're not gonna get your way most of the time. And some of us didn't know that. They thought marriage is like, I'm choosing this person because they're aligned with what I want, because I want to get my way. And then it's every day, 5, 10, 15 things you're not getting your way. And you're like, man, what's going on with this marriage? This is not fun at all, right? And challenge your own assumptions. Boundary setting. Say no to things that push you beyond your capacity or that impose on the values that you and your spouse love. Like, is something outside your marriage making it hard for you to be present in the way you should be in your marriage? Maybe it's work. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. And each partner is responsible for directly managing the boundaries with his or her biological family. I'm sure you've heard this, but if your parents are getting involved, and the goal isn't, I know I mentioned this maybe 3 times already, but it's done after this. But if your parents are getting involved, you have to talk to your parents and get them out. Just get out, okay? There's no sacrament. The sacrament isn't between you and your parents first. It's with you and your spouse, okay? And you have to honor that first, okay? Actually, they're the ones who had a commitment to you in baptism, right? Not the other way around. See your relationship with your spouse as a top priority above all other relationships. And I'm going to tell you a very simple thing. When was the last time you intentionally spent one-on-one time with your spouse? On purpose, like not by accident. Like you said, we're going to go spend an hour together. One time I was talking to a couple and they said, oh, the last time was 8 years ago. And I said, what? And the guy, he said, well, my wife, she can never be away from the kids. Because if we're out together, not with the kids, and something happens to the kids, she said she'll never forgive herself. So she's very anxious about something happening to the kids. But they haven't spent time together in 8 years. Do you believe, what do you think? Is that a lot of time? That's a lot of time. So, and what you find a lot of times, because we're not setting boundaries around our lives, is that weeks pass, they just keep passing. And if you notice the quality of the conversations you're having with your spouse, they're very transactional. Like, did you pick up the kids? What's happening is, oh, did you see the mortgage rates went down? Oh, who's coming? What are we doing? And a lot of, especially when kids come, because kids, they need a lot of work all the time, working for the kids, right? But even for yourself, doctor's appointments, driving around, and sometimes you're sitting together and you're talking about other people. You want me to give you a really, really valuable assignment, a very valuable one? Find 30 to 60 minutes to spend with your spouse, or go out to dinner together or something, and ask your spouse, how do you feel our marriage is doing? By the way, if right now when you heard me say that, you feel, no, I'm not gonna ask that question. That's a scary question. That's because that's where the gold is. That's where the value is. That's why. If you can't ask that question, that means there's an issue. I'm not saying it's a humongous issue. Maybe the issue is just, you haven't connected and you don't know how you're going to respond. Maybe you feel so stressed that even if you think if your spouse asks for one more thing, you can't even do it because you're so stressed. Whatever it is. But it's better to ask and know and apologize because you can't do something or talk through it, negotiate it, than to not ask that question at all. By the way, again, if that question, you feel uncomfortable asking it, and you don't ask it, this is an important indicator for you, okay? And let me just, to make you feel a little better, I asked that question, but it's still hard for me to ask sometimes, okay? For me, okay? So I want you to ask it, okay? It's no longer negotiation and teamwork. It's no longer about doing things your way. Okay, it's about moving forward as efficiently as you can without getting stuck. Like sometimes you're trying to do this, blah, 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 and we'll talk about this in the next lecture too. You're trying to take care of something, and one person says something, and you say, you see, you always do this. This is a big mess, and you get stuck. And now you're going to spend 20 minutes fighting about one thing because you got stuck. If there is a repeated problem, you will need to lean on your communication skills to work through creating a change. Identify stressors and make direct efforts to manage them. Learn to take care of yourself. What are you doing to invest in yourself? Some people think, because most of the generation before us did not demonstrate healthy, reasonable self-care. They like this idea of the martyr, like they just say, I gave everything for you, I sacrificed my life for you, I am nothing without, this is to their kids, I'm nothing, my whole life is for you, all this is how, and by the way, this is a big burden for children to bear. It's a big burden. And we think, oh look, I'm the best parent, I sacrificed everything. But what did you teach your children? What did you show them? That you don't even have an identity. You don't even have an opinion about anything. All you're doing is just complaining about all your sacrifices and your pains and your sufferings. Where's your joy? Where's your spiritual joy? Are you happy? So what did you model for your kids? That life is miserable. That's what you modeled. That life is miserable. And now you're telling them after they get older, now they have to pay you back. That's what? That's not right. So learn to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, I'll give you a very simple example. When you first have children, of course, the first few months, there's lots of lectures we could do on the first 6 to 8 weeks of having a child and the first few months of having a child. When you first have a child, I mean, if you could remember back then, if you have older children, of course, it's chaos. It's a mess, right? It's just, you're so tired all the time. And there's so many skills you have to learn, so many things. So, if your child is like, in the middle of the night, you're trying to sleep and you're already very tired, and your child starts to cry, your baby cries, you get out of bed, and you're not getting out of bed happy. You're not like, oh, I love hearing the cry at 2:30 in the morning. I love it. No, you're like, please, of course, all of us, you pray, please God, let him stop crying, let her stop crying. Let them go back to sleep, please. And then you wait 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 60 seconds, and then you start to feel guilty. You're like, oh, my child is suffering. I need to go get them. What kind of parent am I? And then if your spouse didn't wake up before you, you're like, what's wrong with this person or that? You're getting upset, right? And but then over time, of course, it's torture. It's torture, right? And then after a few days, and you're so tired, you start to get bitter. You start to become resentful. You start to get very angry with the baby. You get angry with your spouse because you're like, look, I'm not doing well. I remember when we first had a child, we were trying to figure out some of the nursing, like the breastfeeding, and a friend of ours, she was like an expert in that, and she came and she said, "This is our first child," and she said, "Guys, look, I'm coming. I'm gonna help you with this, but for the next 2 to 3 hours, just give me the baby. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep, right?" And like, wait, we could do that? You could sleep? We're allowed to sleep? And then once you sleep, you take care of yourself. You're like, wow, I'm ready to do more work. I'm ready, right? Because you have to take care of yourself. Who are your friends? It's very easy nowadays, by the way, it's a different topic, as an adult to be lonely, to be alone. You're surrounded by people, but you don't have any good connections, right? So take care of yourself. What's going on with your friendships? What's going on with your health, physical, emotional, spiritual? What's going on, right? What are you doing? Don't wait for anyone to take care of you. That's not how we live, right? But the right way to live is you take care of yourself with God, right? You and God, you take care of yourself. We're not victims, okay? And anger management. There is nothing in the world, and I'm going to say this again later, there's nothing in the world that relieves you of your responsibility to behave in a Christian manner when you're angry. When you're angry, you have to behave in a Christian manner. It doesn't matter how angry you are. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter. One time, I was working with a couple, and the father was playing with his son. And his son was like 4 or 5 years old. And by accident, the son, like they were playing on the bed, and the son kicked his dad in the face, right? And the dad was shocked, and he got so angry, and he started hitting the boy. And it's like, it's an accident. Like, he got shocked, and he just started hitting the boy. It's a mess. You got to manage your anger, right? What if you raise your voice? It's not right. How do you cool yourself down? Yes.
The right thing, like after you got hit, you just.
No. Well.
What's the right reaction?
Yeah. The right reaction is just in general in tense situations. It's always good to pause for a few seconds. Just pause. Just like you just got hit in the face. Your body is in shock for at least 2 seconds. So just like pause, right? And then ask yourself, because you as a parent are responsible to train your children. So they're not responsible for your emotions. You have to deal with your emotions elsewhere, right? You're not going to deal with them. They're not going to counsel you, right? And they're too young to understand adult emotions. So you're going to deal with your emotions later. But as a parent, you are always a trainer and always a leader. So now you always have to ask yourself, what's the opportunity here to train my child? A lot of times there's nothing going on. It's nothing. It's just an accident. There's nothing to do, like sometimes. So you just have to manage your emotions and say no, just take a breath and just say, oh, or you can even say, oh, that you could say this is a training, but not for your own satisfaction, but because we're a trainer. You say, oh, that hurt. And that's it. Now your child knows that hurts, right? That's it. Nothing happened. But if you think your child did it on purpose to cause you pain, maybe they did it on purpose and they didn't know it hurts. But maybe they did it on purpose to cause you pain, which now that's a different situation. But you have to assess as a parent, what is the actual situation that's going on? But can you imagine that parent hitting their child over something that actually was an opportunity to train him, and when you train them, the relationship gets better. You guys get what I'm saying? That father went that whole extreme, and actually you could have made the relationship better after all that. It was an opportunity to get closer to your child. What a lost opportunity, right? Great question, by the way. Spiritual awareness. The rest of these things are going to be quicker. The first one was just a little long. Okay, I know we have 12 minutes to go. Okay, but the rest of them are going to be quick. Spiritual awareness. If you don't know where you're going, you're always in the wrong place. If you don't know where you're going, you're always in the wrong place. And I want to tell you the summary of this, my beloved brothers and sisters, is that marriage is not just a social thing. It's not just something you do on earth, like just a man and a woman have to get together and that's how you live your life. It's not just for financial reasons. It's not just it's not just to make life more comfortable. It's not just so you could finally have kids, and you want to have kids, right? At marriage, you have to, in your mind, know that God invented marriage, meaning He has an intention for it. He has a point of view. God has a point of view on marriage. And He created it, so He started it, right? So if you're going to do married life well, you have to see, what did the creator of marriage intend for marriage? Because sometimes you just think, after years and all this stuff, you think, I just wake up, I'm annoyed with everything, I gotta go to work, I hate my job, gotta go make money, come back home, I gotta eat, my spouse doesn't know how to cook, whatever, I'm burning all the bread, or whatever it is, and then I come home, and then I'm tired, I gotta go to sleep, my kids don't listen to me, nothing, I don't have any respect in the world, nobody knows my suffering, and that's it. And you think, okay, that's life, that's marriage. That's pretty miserable, okay? That's not what God intends. So I want to tell you, please, I'm going to show you 6 facts, okay? These are facts, okay? Meaning they're true, okay? Fact number 1, marriage exists as a means by which God reveals Himself to you and saves you. Meaning, God is trying to tell you something. In marriage, not your spouse something, you something, okay? God is trying to tell you something. And not just one thing, thousands of things over the years. God is revealing Himself to you. He's showing you, not just tell you something about you, He's also showing you Himself. Okay? What do you think God is? Just ask yourself. By the way, there's so many things here. If you do the things I say, it'll save you like 7 therapy sessions, okay? Like if you just do the things I'm saying, some of the things I'm saying. Ask yourself, I wonder what God is trying to do in me in this marriage. What do you think He's trying to do? Just ask yourself and pray. Pray, God, if you're trying to do something in me, please let me work with you on that. If you're trying to do something. Maybe God is trying to teach you to be more patient. Maybe God is trying to teach you to manage your anger better. Maybe God is trying to teach you that you should see some of the things your parents did were wrong, and now you have to do a better job. Some of us don't want to admit that our parents did something wrong. We don't like that idea. You think it's being disloyal. Fact number 2, marriage is a means by which God perfects you. God makes you better and better and better through marriage. You're going to be sharpened. You're going to get better. You're going to become a better person if you do marriage the right way. God cares about your marriage even more than you do. That means God is invested in this marriage going well. So if your marriage is not going well, I want you to say to God, God, what do we need to do here? I know you care too that this marriage goes well. What do we need to do? You have to ask Him. You have a calling from God, a calling for sacrifice, service, and submission to each other and to the world. Meaning, you need to be sacrificing. By the way, your suffering is not the same as your sacrifice. Let me say that. Sometimes you think, oh, my spouse is miserable, is so annoying, blah, 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 and I'm suffering. Now I want to ask you, what are you sacrificing? Are you sacrificing anything? It's two different things, okay? Marriage is a union that involves two imperfect persons. That I want you to also remember that you're not perfect either. Like I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. We mess up, right? And you need to remember that. And lastly, God is present in your home and in every interaction you have with your spouse. So if you yell or curse at your spouse or insult your spouse or disrespect your spouse, I want you to know that God is right there. He's right there when you said that, right? Or when you think whatever you think, God is present. So you have to internalize these facts so that you're clear on the purpose of marriage. Marriage is not simply a social arrangement. It's not simply a busy calendar. That's not marriage, okay? All right. Now this one this is probably, it's one of the harder ones, okay? And we're gonna go through it, okay? There's just 4 things on the table, okay? But sophisticating your perspective, what do I mean by that? I'll give you a simple example. I have 2 kids, 2 boys. One is almost 4, the other is almost 2, okay? They're little kids, okay? The little one, the younger one, he doesn't even speak that much, he's not even 2 yet, right? So sometimes when he sees his older brother playing, he'll just go and take his toy. Just go take a toy. He doesn't understand anything. Okay? He just see, a toy, he takes it. And the older one, he understands you don't do that. You don't just take, if you take someone's toy, that's an offense. The younger one doesn't understand that, of course. So one time, the older one, the younger one took the toy and he hit him. It wasn't a hard hit, but he was just and then he came to me crying and said, Daddy, Gabriel took the toy. He's upset. We do that in our marriages all the time. Did the younger boy have bad intentions? No bad intentions. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know, right? So, but is the older boy, is he sophisticated enough to think about the intentions of his brother? That's what I mean by to be more sophisticated. Think about, things are not simple. Things are not simple, okay? Things are not simple. If your spouse is saying da 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 to you, it's not simple. Something is going on, right? If you do it in a very linear way, just like, oh, you're yelling at me, that's an offense, and you hit them. You don't hit them with your hands, but you hit them with your words. Then how different are you from a 4-year-old? Do you get what I'm saying? Things are more complex, much more complex, okay? That's my point here, okay? And I'm going to give you just some examples, okay? There are 4 discrepancies. How do you think about it in a simple way, and how do you think about it in a sophisticated way, okay? Just simple. If there's a disagreement, the simple way, when you disagree, you say in your head, you're like, I need to convince my spouse that my opinion is accurate and theirs is inaccurate. That's how it is. My spouse says something, I disagree, I need to convince them that they're wrong, and I'm right. That's the simple way, the overly simplified way. But the sophisticated person will say that my spouse has a different perspective. There's a reason, they're not trying to be wrong. There's a reason why they think they're right and I think I'm right. And we have 2 different perspectives. So they're trying to do the right thing too. So, and by the way, a good example is when you're parenting, because a lot of strong opinions come up with when it comes to kids, but so many other things, right? So they have a different perspective. It's not just, and you just, that's it, because you disagree. right? They have a different perspective. Now, what if you have a different perspective? Sometimes you say, well, okay, my spouse has a different perspective. Their perspective is wrong. But maybe ask yourself, why do you see things the way you do? I remember I was talking to a couple a few days ago, and we're talking about their child, and we keep talking. And then at one point, the husband just says, I don't want what happened to my sibling to happen to my child. That's a big point. That's a very, very powerful point, right? That the husband, the dad, he said, he's referring back to his sibling because he feels bad about what happened to his sibling. And a lot of what he's doing with his child is to avoid what happened with his sibling. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's very powerful because he feels so sad and angry and ashamed about what happened with his sibling. Okay? So now he's just parenting as if he's parenting his sibling. Right? So ask if your spouse has if your spouse has a different perspective, the first thing you do is ask yourself why you have your perspective. Where did your perspective come from? Did you learn it from your parents? Did you learn it from some book? Did you learn it from a friend? Did you learn it from a traumatic experience that you had? Where did it come from? Because once you see where you got your perspective from, you could say, oh, you know what? Maybe they have some good reasons for their perspective. And you start to be more sophisticated in how you think. Okay. Solving a problem. Either my way will go or my spouse's way will go. That's a simple way. Oh, you want it this way, I want it that way? It's either or. The sophisticated way is to try to find a third way, a third option. There's 1,000 ways to say something, and there's 1,000 ways to do things. Find more options. What's another way that this can go? And hurt. This one is very important. The example is, my spouse said something, and now I'm hurt. My spouse is responsible for my pain. If your spouse did something and you're hurt, it doesn't mean that your spouse meant to hurt you. So don't respond to them as if they meant to hurt you. They're not responsible for your pain. It's very important, right? Can I tell you, can we go over by like maybe 10 minutes? Is that okay? Is that okay? All right. Thank you guys, thank you. I'll give you an example. I had a couple, I love this couple. I love all my clients, they're good people. So she, the couple, the wife was complaining because her husband, the dad, is playing very rough with their son. Just like they're playing, but it's rough, you know. And she's like, "You're gonna hurt him. It's too rough, right?" And she's talking about it, you know. And he's saying, "Listen, like he's a boy, he's an older boy, and I'm a man. Like we gotta be like physical with each other. It's very important. I know my limits. I know his limits. He's not hurt, even if he's trying to get out of our little fight. We're okay, you know." And she's like, no. And they keep going back and forth and they're arguing, you know. And then she says, because that's exactly what my cousins did to me when I was with them when I was a kid. Her cousins, when she was younger, they would pin her to the ground and wrestle with her, and they would hurt her. They weren't very nice to her. So she is feeling like this like pain, right? And she thinks that he's intending to cause pain. But really, her pain is coming because she's triggered by something else, okay? She's triggered by something else. So if you're hurt, you could say to yourself, I'm hurt, but I shouldn't assume that my spouse intended to hurt me. Their heart is not intending to hurt me, okay? Yes?
Yes.
How do you think that? Why would you think your spouse would hurt you?
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes they're like an old problem, and then they are intending to cause you like a bad morning or whatever. So
Intending, like on purpose.
yeah, you know,
They want, no, it's one thing if they know, like sometimes you need to do something, but, or you think you need to do something, and you know your spouse is not going to like it, but you think you need to do it, or you want to do it, but you know they're not going to like it. But your goal isn't to hurt them, it's just, you just think this is what you need to do. The question is the person's heart wanting to cause you pain?
Women sometimes can cause.
Women? All of women?
Yes, like,
That's a big one, man.
no, I mean, yeah, it's okay.
No.
I guess we should look at the other side, like he's hurting his son. Is the son isn't hurt? To judge the husband, this is too much or not.
Right.
I have to look at the son. If he hurt, like in pain, okay, let's hurt him. If he's having fun, why bother?
Yeah. All of the above. The thing is, it's more complex. It's not so simple. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean the other person intended to hurt. Maybe they have their own reason. Like, let's say, for example, one of your, I'll come back to your question, but let's say, for example, your spouse comes home late from work. Every time they come home late, you feel neglected. You feel like they don't love you, they don't care about you, because they don't want to spend time with you. Let's say. At the same time, your spouse is worried because there's layoffs at work, and they're trying to protect their job. What happens in this situation? It's not easy, right? It's not straightforward. It's not simple. It's like they're trying to protect their job, but at the same time, you're hurt. And sometimes both are true. And as a couple, you have to learn how to cope with it and try to manage your own emotions and get support and all this stuff, right? So your spouse knows they're sitting at work and they're in front of the computer and they're trying to work, and they know you're unhappy. They know you're unhappy. But they don't know what to do. They feel stuck, right? It's not simple. All I'm saying is not simple. It's not straightforward. Even if you're hurt, it's not straightforward. Now, what if they are actually trying to hurt you? First of all, I just want to say again, you have to be really, really sure that they're trying to hurt you. And it does happen, by the way. It does happen. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. If you're sure they're trying to hurt you, then you have to address it directly and start setting boundaries to protect yourself. Like, God is not asking you to take abuse. Like, that's not like there are times when He does ask people to accept abuse. But God is always asking you to respond to abuse in a healthy way. But God is not like calling you from the beginning, take abuse. It happens, but it's very rare. Okay, very extremely rare. Like, basically, it doesn't happen. Okay, so yeah. But if it is actually the case that your spouse is intending to hurt you, wants to cause you pain, then you have to address it directly and set boundaries. This is not right. It's not right. Does that answer your question? Or yeah? And I want to support you. Like, do not accept unhealthy behavior. Especially if the intentions are bad, right? But of course, before you just say, "Oh, that's unhealthy," ask yourself, "What am I doing to contribute to this dynamic?" Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to say something else?
Just for example, like you repeatedly said, you don't behave this way, or you don't do this, or you already addressed it multiple times, and then so that's intention, right?
Let's just say it is. If it is, like I'm assuming it is, for this question, start setting boundaries. That's it. And maybe that sounds kind of like, what kind of boundaries can I set? But you have to start setting boundaries. But because what are you going to do instead? Or you say, you know what, it's not happening, and you accept what's going on. But I think a lot of us, we don't set boundaries enough, and we need to think about that. Yeah. Maybe boundaries are, some sort of distance, or not having a certain type of conversation. There's many types of boundaries. If you give me a more specific example, we can talk about an example of types of boundaries. We could do that later. Yeah. We could talk. Boundary setting is a big topic. Like, there's lots of different things. Yes.
Can we punish each other?
I was about to come to that. Actually, that's a great question. Yeah.
Not a big thing, but
Yeah.
maybe just take away a small thing that you know you're gonna teach the person in front of you. Like,
No.
hey, don't do that with me again.
Be very careful. This is my answer is no. Very, very no. Very no. Do not. Nothing should happen indirectly. Don't try to cause pain, because sometimes what happens is you have pain, so you try to cause pain to the other person because you think, oh, I want them to feel what I feel. So you try to cause pain to the other person. But they're not going to say, oh, I feel pain. I guess that's why that's what they feel too. Maybe I'm gonna change my behavior. That never happens. What? It just builds more resentment and it spirals, it snowballs. It becomes worse faster, right?
But then there is no consequences for whatever bad behavior happened.
There should no, consequences are like we're not like training each other. Where adults are not training each other. You're just making requests and setting boundaries. That's it. But no punishments. Making requests and setting boundaries. And of course, in all of this, you challenge yourself to see if you should be growing first in some way. But there's no punishments or consequences because that's not a healthy dynamic between two equals. Like two people who are supposed to co-lead the home together, there's not a parent-child dynamic. You're not supposed to like punish your spouse. And plus, who causes pain on purpose? An enemy, like an evil person. So don't cause pain. And remember also I know this might sound too spiritual and all that, but it's still the right example. Is that remember Jesus? He said, "Father, forgive them." Even in the worst pain he had, he was still compassionate towards the people who were harming him on purpose, intentionally. We know it was intentional, right? So, and then Saint Stephen said the same thing. So that wasn't just Jesus. So, we have to remember though, if you're hurt, your spouse usually did not intend to hurt you, okay? And even if they intend to hurt you because they think that causing you pain is helping you understand their pain and all of that, that's not exactly like evil. It's just their dysfunctional, unhealthy way of responding. Okay, number 4, we're basically done. I took some questions, so I need 5 more minutes, okay? So, all right. The hedge around your marriage is highly impacted by what you feed your marriage. So I want you to imagine this is the hedge, and you're feeding stuff into your marriage. And there's 4 things, okay? The first one is education. You have to feed this hedge. Feed it some education, books, lectures, seminars, workshops. By the way, you're here. Probably the generation before us would not attend things like this. You wouldn't even have things like this, right? I want to tell you, you're doing an amazing thing by being here, and do more, do more. Listen to lectures, read. There's a lot to learn. Okay. Community, healthy couples, healthy couples. Not every married person can give good marriage advice, okay? Remember, most marriages are unhappy, okay? So you have to find the right people. And I want to tell you 4 E's for how to find someone who's credible. Someone who has a lot of good experience, someone who has good expertise, someone who you want to emulate, like follow, and lastly, someone who can educate you, someone who can deliver the message to you. So when you want to know, pick any one of these 3. If you find any one of them, that's probably a good person, and they can also educate you, okay? So, but find who are the healthy couples. You don't have to be best friends with them, just people who can help. Edifying activities and trusted people who can provide healthy and balanced guidance and advice. Be careful about people who always take your side. Because remember, marriage is a means by which God perfects you. Sometimes you're having a problem in your marriage because of you, not because of your spouse. And you need to talk to people who are comfortable to tell you, hey, I know you're telling me your spouse is crazy, but maybe you're also crazy. You have to find people who could tell you that. It's very important. Because it's really easy if somebody asks you for advice to just say, oh yeah, your spouse is crazy. Because you're talking to the other one's in front of you. That's easy. But you have to find the right people. Experts, therapists, counselors, other professionals, and spiritual engagement. Prayer is a well from which you can draw tremendous support anytime. I want you always, please ask God to change your heart. Always. God, is there anything in my heart that is interfering with your work in my marriage? Maybe I'm stubborn. Maybe I'm angry. Maybe my ego. Maybe I'm arrogant. Maybe I'm prideful. Divine liturgy, Bible reading, okay? Last thing, proactive behavior. This is the last thing. The positive energy in your relationship is a core part of the foundation that you stand on during challenging times, okay? And so I want you to think there's like a balance, a scale, and there's positive, proactive behaviors, and there's negative experiences, okay? And what you want to do, the positive, proactive behaviors, a lot of times they're free, they cost nothing, you can do them anytime for no reason, okay? The negative ones, they come, they're costly, and you can't control when they come, most of the time, okay? So what I'm saying here is, this is gonna happen. It's already happening, okay? Some of you might be tired. Some of you maybe got into a fight this morning, maybe. It just happens. But this, you can control it. This is much harder to control. And this doesn't cost anything. So just do this. Do it. You don't need to wait for anything. Just do more, okay? What are some examples? Of the negative ones, I think you know all this, right? Stress, pressures, work, children, fatigue, fears and concerns, health issues. So many, right? So many, okay? You can't control this most of the time. What are the positive things you can do? Communicate love multiple times per day using your partner's love language. You could just say, I love you. You could just say it, I love you. Sometimes you're sitting next to each other, put your arm around your spouse. Just put your arm around them. Give them your hand, whatever it is, right? Even if you're sitting watching TV, just do something, right? Say, have a nice day. Smile. Just smile. Just say, have a nice day and smile. Positive, communicate love. I remember one couple, for some reason, the wife loved when her husband would make her a cup of tea. I don't know, I don't usually hear that, but it made the biggest difference for her. So anytime they get into a fight and he wanted to like help make up, try to break the ice, he would make her a cup of tea. That's easy. Yes, okay, yes. I think your spouse drinks a lot of tea probably. So and that was one thing. I mean, it depends on how big the fight was, but they had a lot. Spend one-on-one time with each other where you can connect. Check in with each other regularly on the state and quality of your marriage, and be on the lookout for opportunities to give to your spouse. Remember, time is limited. I hope one time we could I have a list of topics we don't talk about much in church, and we talk about more of them. One of them is we don't talk about the concept of time, and the theology of time, and what God says about time, and how He sees time, right? And we need to know that, the time is at hand, right? Like time is running out. Time is something that God blessed you with, and you have to use it well. And if you use your time on something negative, or you let your time be spent on something negative, that time is never coming back. And it cannot be used anymore on something positive. It's gone. The time is gone. It's never, ever coming back, right? And the harder thing about negative things is negative things are sticky. Like if you give someone a compliment, they'll be happy. But if they hear something negative, they'll feel bad right away, right? But if you tell someone something negative, it's very hard to make them feel positive again soon. Because negative things, they stick much more. It's hard to disconnect from the negative things. So when you let negative things happen and you're not diligent and vigilant, then you're losing a lot of time, okay? So the hedge around your marriage is, this is the summary, this is the last slide. We must learn and practice new abilities that lead our marriages to better day-to-day outcomes. Like day-to-day, is every day going well? Like how are the days going, okay? Be deeply aware of the ultimate purpose of your marriage. Don't just think it's just work and money and get the kids to college and pay for the mortgage and that. There's something way higher than that, way higher. Way higher, right? God is trying to reveal Himself to you. Appreciate and engage with the complexity of your inner self and your spouse's inner self. Arguments are not simple things. What's going on is actually, on the surface is one thing, but beneath the surface is a lot of stuff you don't know. And how are you going to find out? By being curious, giving the benefit of the doubt, being humble, being willing to ask, okay? Not assuming you're right. Feed the hedge around your marriage with good things, resources. and create positive energy that you can then leverage when you need it and when the stresses come, okay? I know we're over time, and there's an activity that I know, by the way, like I'm here to challenge you, and I know some of the things we do and I'm telling you are a little awkward, okay? They might be a little uncomfortable, but that's where the value is, okay? That's where the value is. I want to tell you, very important. That's where the value is. Like when you say, hey, how is our marriage doing? It's uncomfortable, but it's a very valuable, extremely valuable discussion. It might save you years of negativity, of lost time that could otherwise be very beautiful, where you can make changes. So, any questions that you sent in, we'll take them at the end. We have a time for Q&A, but we prepared here. We have about 40 minutes after this is done, like 40 minutes till the next talk is at 2 o'clock. Okay, we have to talk at 2 o'clock, Q&A at 3 o'clock, and then we're done. Okay, so it's a pretty quick day. Between now and 2 o'clock, I have this paper here. This is a conversation that I want you to have with your spouse. If your spouse is here. If your spouse is not here, maybe just try to read it and see what you can do. But look, if you want to get the value, you do it. If you don't, I'm not judging. I love all of you so much with all my heart. But this is a discussion. It's very simple. There's some guidelines. Find a private place, look at each other, and I gave you how to start the discussion. It's 6 sentences. You just say the sentence and fill in the blank with each other, okay? I'm gonna, can you hand this out? Just pass it around. Just take one and pass it, yeah. And then maybe at by the way, at 1:45, we're gonna come back for refreshments and stuff. And is everybody good with that? Okay, all right, glory be to God forever, amen. Thanks.